Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Mana Chamber. I really appreciate everybody who's stopping by the video today. We're doing a little different video than videos we typically do on this channel. Today, since it's the end of the year of 2023, we're going to do a top 10 list of my favorite commanders that I got a chance to play with in 2023 that were released in 2023. So yeah, only new commanders and only the ones that I actually played with, because those are really the only ones that I can speak on. So let's get into it. So in 10th, I gotta give it up to my boy Totentan's Swarm Piper. There's just something about this greasy flute playing rat man that I just was drawn to. I don't really know what it was. The fact that when other creatures die, you make a 1/1 rat, I felt like was a really cool feature. The black and 1 death touch for target rat is like pretty mediocre, honestly. If it was more of like a all rats have death touch type thing, it would be fantastic. Either way, the very first game that I got to play with him, basically Wilds of Eldraine had just came out, so I was trying to play with some commanders that had came out as well, and Totentan's was, again, one I was the most drawn to. So I built a deck around it, and unfortunately I kind of came out with only 1 win and 2 losses when I played 3 different games with him in this video. First one was against Goshintai of Life's Origin. Basically, it was a pretty long fight, but I just got overwhelmed by the shrines themselves and lost. Then I went up against Radagast the Brown, and essentially he just had too many powerful creatures and just crushed me through combat. But then I went up against Radak Tel Zealot, and my board state just overwhelmed him so much to the point that he decided to concede. And then I actually got to play with him a second time. Everybody voted on him for me to do an altered deck around him in Historic Brawl again. Which again, with this deck that I built, I only came out with 1 win and then 2 losses again. We went against Marwyn the Nurturer. It was a long fight. I was going to win no matter what, but he conceded anyway. And then Vorinclex Monstrous Raider. It was really close, actually. It was a really good game, but the dude still just completely trounced upon me and decimated me. And then there was Ziatora the Incinerator, and I got hammered into the ground just through combat. He just was too strong for me. Either way, I love Totentan's. There's something about him that's just amazing, so I give him number 10. Okay, and then at number 9, I chose Imodain the Pyro Hammer. There's just something about her. She's a human knight. She's just so cool. She's like a spell slingy knight that you can do targeted destruction and then just hit your opponent's face with the targeted destruction, like copy. She's just so good, especially on Arena. Anyway, so with her, again, Wilds of Eldraine had just came out. I was trying to play with some of the commanders. This one I didn't necessarily choose. I mean, I did choose it, but the way I kind of have my Brawl schedule set out, I try to play with new commanders in a set kind of order. So when I play new commanders specifically in the order that I set out, I do standard Brawl. So with her, I actually only played a single standard Brawl game. I would love to eventually transform her to like a historic Brawl, play with her some more. I just think she's really cool. Unfortunately, I really only got 1 win with her and 2 losses again. In the first match, I went up against Greta Sweettooth Scourge. It was a really close game, but like I got slaughtered by a boar in the end, so you know. Then it was Elisel Core Sadistic Pilgrim. I got overwhelmed by token combat loss in this deck, because I mean, it's Elisel Core. You're gonna make a bunch of tokens and lose a bunch of dudes. Then I went up against Yenna, Red Tooth Regent, and it was like an almost awesome targeted damage kill with Imodain's abilities from a clutch top deck bloodthirsty adversary, but then they conceded instead of me just basically beating them. Either way, Imodain, something about her is really cool, because I like knights and I like spell slingy, but like knights aren't always the most spell slingy, but this one is, and it's just super cool. So it is at number 9. All right, so at number 8, I chose Elish Norn, the one that can transform into the Argent Etchings. Elish Norn, first of all, just a fantastic Praetor, probably my favorite Praetor of all of the Praetors. Little caveat, this was closer to more of the beginnings of my channel. I did have a wheel set up of cards that I had collected, so basically I spun the wheel, Elish Norn came up because she was during the set that I was playing with at the time, that was out at the time on Arena, which was March of the Machine. I played a standard brawl, so I really only played one standard brawl with her. She's just so freaking cool, her abilities. The fact that basically they have to pay 1 anytime you get dealt damage, or like they deal damage to you or whatever, and they lose 2 life. It's just so clutch, it's so cool. I came with 2 wins and a loss when I played with her. I went up against Glissa, Herald of Predation. I just had the upper hand and they conceded on me, so that's how that goes sometimes. Then I went up against Ishin, 2 heavens as 1. I got overwhelmed by them and they eviscerated my entire board state. It was a combat loss. They just beat me into the ground. Then I went up against Falco Spara Pact Weaver. It was like I was actually about to lose, but then like Elish Norn's abilities with the pay 1 when they swung through, it was actually like I was barely alive, and then they had been tapped out, so it was kind of a tricky win actually, because they just ended up losing all of their life to her ability, because that's just how powerful Elish Norn is. So that's why I give her number 8. And then for me, in the 7th slot, I chose Hilda of the Icy Crown. I do ranking videos sometimes. In the Wilds of Eldraine ranking video, I chose Hilda of the Icy Crown, in my opinion, to be the best commander from the set. I don't know exactly how I rank best. It's a little bit of mixed with fun, a little bit mixed of what I think could be good. Either way, I made a historic brawl deck around Hilda because I thought she was potentially the best from Wilds of Eldraine. In this deck that I had built, I came out with 3 wins. I went against Grimgrin Corpseborn. I just tapped them, gave myself +1 counters using Hilda's ability, went into combat madness. I had a bunch of the 4/4 white and blue elemental creature tokens out that she can do as well. It was just absolute madness. I went up against Daragaz, Siobhan Champion. I completely tapped their whole board state out. I gave +1/+1s on my people, and I killed them through combat. Again, very similar, just super powerful. Then I went up against Goshentai of Life's Origin. It was like a pretty close call. I was contemplating. I think I was like basically going to come out with like them having 1 life left, and it was just really a pretty close game, but then they conceded before the game actually finished, because I'm pretty sure I had a little bit of the upper hand towards the end. So then in the community tab, everybody voted for me to transform Hilda into a standard brawl deck. When I did this, I only got 1 win and 2 losses actually. I went up against Tovlar Dire Overlord. It was like a really long war. I just ran out of juice and lost the game. Then I went up against Gishath, Sun's Avatar. I actually had the upper hand against Gishath, surprisingly, and they just decided to concede because I was just too powerful for them. Then it was Torrens, Fist of the Angels. They completely overwhelmed me with tokens. There was nothing I could do, and I lost the game. So, like I said, there was a lot of highs with her. There were some lows with her, so she kind of came in at number 7 because she's just really a fun commander. Alright, so at number 6, I chose Shagrat Loot Bearer. I thought he just seemed really cool. The fact that when you attack, you can attach an equipment to him, and then you amass orcs. And the thing about the equipment is, it doesn't even have to be one you control. It can be one the enemy controls, so that's what's kind of just really interesting about him. At the time, Lord of the Rings set had just came to Arena. It was one of the new commanders that I chose to play with, and so I built a historic brawl deck around him. I got 2 wins, I got a loss. The first guy I went up against was Sauron the Dark Lord. I just had a fast Embercleave cast on combat concede against him, because Shagrat was just quick, mean, fast. Then I went up against Ciazon, Perverter of Truth. I was equipped, I was beefed up, I had a flying orc army that just flew through and combat killed him. And then there was Gishath, Sun's avatar. This was a long war, and then I just got trounced upon by his dinosaurs in a combat loss because I just couldn't keep up. And I actually got to play a second video with him. Everybody voted for him to be an altered Historic Brawl deck, so I created another deck around him to try him out again. This one I got 2 wins and a loss. I went up against Azani, Thousand Eyes. I just had an equipped flying Shagrat, attack, kill, it was going. Then Errant and Giada, I was the underdog, but I came back around for them to just concede, and I won. Then Goshintai of Life's Origin. It was a long fought, and I lost by being overwhelmed by shrines, because, I mean, that's what Goshintai of Life's Origin does. Either way, had tons of fun with Shagrat. Highly suggest him as a commander. That's why he came in at number 6. Alright, so then coming right in the middle at number 5, I chose what's probably my favorite commander of the Lord of the Rings set, the Watcher in the Water. Just the fact, I mean, he comes out tapped. It takes him a long time to get untapped. But whenever you draw a card, you create a 1/1 blue tentacle, and then whenever they die, you can stun your opponent's creatures. It's just magical. It's just beautiful. Again, the Lord of the Rings set just came out. I chose to play with him as the new commander in Historic Brawl. I came out with 3 wins. I put a lot of love into this deck. The first battle was against Nicobolus the Ravager. I just was overwhelming them, and I controlled it the whole game, and I had a combat victory. It was great. Then Thanos the Toymaker went up against me. It was a long war. I controlled the board state a lot, and I pulled another combat victory. Then I went up against Kroxa and Knuros. I just had constantly combat controlled victoried them. Like, it was just crazy. So then, the people in the community tab had voted for me to do an altered deck around the Watcher in the Water in Historic Brawl. I don't know what happened with this deck. I don't quite remember the direction I went with it, but I only got 1 win and 2 losses. I went up against Campbell, Console of Allocation, and he just siphoned me to death, and I just lost life that way. Then Kalia, Zenith Seeker, it was just like this flying domination combat loss. There was nothing I could do. They just kept going over me. And then I went against Ren and Siri, Inseparable, and I just completely tapped out their board state. It was a really close call, but I came out with a combat victory. It was great. So I highly recommend, especially the first video that I did around the Watcher in the Water. Check it out. Maybe test out the deck. It's super fun, really powerful. That's why the Watcher in the Water is number 5. Well, since we're going into the top 4, number 4 is Frodo, Sauron's Bane. This was one of them that the wheel actually had chose for me. At the time on the wheel, I was putting on all the cards I was collecting in the Lord of the Rings set, so I was pretty overwhelmed with Lord of the Rings things. I'm actually in the middle of updating the wheel. I can't wait to start putting wheel videos back on the channel. I'm so excited for that. We did a Historic Brawl game with him. We got 3 wins with Frodo because his ability to basically become a 2/3 halfling with lifelink, that's cool, but it's the 3 black ability that when the ring has tempted you like 4 more times and you deal combat damage with him, you win the game. It's just super fantastic. So I went up against Marinar. It was a hard fought battle, but I came in with a combat victory, just pure combat victory. Nothing more, nothing less. I went up against Shieldred the Apocalypse next. It was like a pretty level match, but I snuck through with Frodo's win con on his card and came out with a combat victory using Frodo and, the ring tempting me. Then Nissa Resurge Animist. I was pretty much on the downslope in this game, but then I just kind of snuck through again with Frodo's win con and came out with another combat victory. That's what I really love about this particular Frodo, is that he just has his own win con, which makes it tons and tons of fun. I highly suggest checking him out, and that's why he is number 4. So now we've made it to the top 3, and at number 3 I had to go with Lord Skitter, Sewer King. I really just love the rats of Wilds of Eldraine, and of course Lord Skitter is the best rat in Wilds of Eldraine. Whenever another rat enters the battlefield under your control, you can exile a target card from an opponent's graveyard. So mean. And then on the beginning of your combat, you create a 1/1 black rat, so you're doing that ability all the time. It's just crazy. The black rats, you know, the ones that can't block, because that's how kind of this set was. Anyway, I had kind of exhausted my choices of being able to play with some of the newer commanders, I think, at this time, but the wheel had spun around. Again, I had a bunch of Lord of the Rings on the wheel at the time. Lord Skitter was the one that was chosen. I built a deck. I got 3 wins with it. It was fantastic. We went up against Sigarda, Font of Blessings. I just overwhelmed them. I had the upper hand. I just won through a combat victory. It was awesome. Then we went up against Tiamat, and I just had a complete feast combat victory over them. There was nothing they could do. And then the last one, Liesa, Forgotten Archangel. I had a pretty powerful board state, and like I kind of got like some mystery wind. I didn't necessarily understand on the beginning of their upkeep. They were like, I think, down to 1 life, and somehow on their upkeep they lost a life. It was kind of a strange thing. Either way, I just love Lord Skitter. He's one of the best rat boys, and he is a king, so he's very noble too. I recommend you checking him out. That's why he is coming in at number 3. And then coming in at number 2 was actually a big surprise to me. I chose Kellen, the Fey-Blooded. He's really cool with his, you know, birthright boon adventure sorcery, where you can search for an aura or an equipment and put it into your hand. That's nice, but then he gets exiled, okay? He kind of goes around the commander tax when he's in exile, and he always costs 1 red and 2 to come out. When he's in exile, of course, the commander tax does still apply to the birthright boon. But when he comes out, man, he has double strike, and then the other creatures you control get +1/+0 for each aura and equipment attached to him. He was surprisingly amazing, super powerful. If you know anything about Kellen, he's kind of one of the more main characters of the story at the moment. He's going through the Omen paths. He's looking for his father named Oko, if you know who Oko the Planeswalker is, and we're going to see a lot of him, and I was surprised how good this card was. Wilds of Eldraine was the set that was out at the time. It was one of the new people I had chosen to play with, because I was like, let's see what this Kellen's all about. He's a main character. I played Standard Brawl. I got 2 wins and 1 loss. I went up against Hilda of the Icy Crown. I just had a flying double strike combat victory using actually Danitha, Benalia's Hope. Another fantastic card out there. You should look it up. And it was just cool. I don't even know. Kellen didn't even help us win. It was Danitha. Then we went up against Hilda of the Icy Crown again. 2 of them in a row. It was actually a really, really close call of a game, but Hilda just decided to get some payback and take it from me in this game. And for the last game, we went up against Ariette of the Charmed Apple. Either way, I equipped Kellen with Trample. I just trounced on through with a combat victory. And again, by the end of these games, I was very impressed with Kellen. I'm really hoping someday he gets voted on to be transformed into Historic Brawl. We'll just kind of see how that goes. But that's why he came in at number 2 for me. And now finally, the number 1 commander that I gotta play with in 2023. Before I reveal it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to bigger, better places in 24. Gonna be tons more Brawl games, tons more commanders to test out and play with. You can help influence the channel moving it forward. Let's get into number 1. It's Skrelv, Defector Might. He's from Phyrexia, All Will Be One. Now this goes way back, actually, towards the beginning of my channel. I didn't even have my channel around, I don't think, when All Will Be One came out. I was thinking about it, but I just hadn't quite gotten there in my life where I had the time and ability to do it. So Skrelv was just absolutely my favorite of all of the All Will Be One commanders, and he's just this cool might. I had to play with him So I decided to build a deck around him because, I mean, the fact that you can just tap him to basically give protection from any color and then give infect to certain creatures, you can just kind of keep getting through. Hopefully, if you're hitting them with infect, maybe poison them out. It's just really cool. And the fact that you can pay a Phyrexian white to do it, so maybe you don't lose life, maybe you can just pay with life, it just makes Skrelv really cool. And the fact that he can come out turn 1. There's nothing wrong with it. So the first fight in Historic Brawl, I went up against Tovlar, Dire Overlord. It was like I just had constant combat going, just infecting, and I just got a poison kill with it because that's kind of how Skrelv functions. We went up against Kroxa and Kunuros. I snuck through using Skrelv's ability with other creatures and poisoned him out. And basically, I think I killed him with life total and killed him with poison counters at the same time. It was really sweet. Last one we went up against was Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. I just snuck through. I got a poison victory. That's just what Skrelv does. The thing that's really cool about Skrelv, if you play it right, is you have tons of removal on the deck because it's white, and white has surprisingly a bunch of removal. So you're just moving forward, and you really only have to do like 10 damage in a way to them to win because you're poisoning them out. Is it cheap? Maybe in Arena it's cheap. Sure it's a lot harder in an actual game of Commander. But that's that. It's number 1, Skrelv Defector Might. He's my favorite commander of 2023. So with that, everybody, I really appreciate you hanging around. Stop until the end of the video. Tell me your top 10 or top 5 or even number 1 favorite commander that came out in 2023 that you got to play with, or just that you like the aesthetics of, or just like you're the most drawn to even if you haven't played him. Yeah, really, who's your number 1 commander from 2023? I'm very excited for 2024. All the different sets that are going to come out. I think Mystery at Karlov Manor, or Murders at Karlov Manor, something like that. It's coming out in February onto Arena. We still got Ixalan things happening on Arena. Again, I'm doing like ranking videos. I do Brawl videos. I do some standard Brawl. It probably is mostly historic Brawl most of the time. I'll do some other weird little things. I'll do drafts sometimes, or some of the other weird little events that Arena has. And I'm just hoping to grow into some other things. I do believe I plan on doing some shorts here in the future. I don't know how you feel about shorts. Let me know how you feel about shorts. I personally don't really like shorts. I never really watch shorts, but it seems to be really popular on YouTube, so maybe I'm going to give it a try out. We got a 150 subscriber live stream coming up on New Year's Eve. I hope to see you there. Check the community tab for like the time of that. And I'll see you all in 2024. Thanks. Bye.